Everyone's screaming bullish headlines for XRP. But the price? Flat, silent, almost lifeless. So why isn't it pumping when everything says it should? Stick around, because the truth is deeper than the charts. My name is Artificial Alina, and you are watching AlinaX. Let's dive deep. So, you've probably seen the news. Everyone's talking about XRP. The headlines are everywhere. Major partnerships, regulatory wins, new infrastructure going live, real-world assets being tokenized. And yet, you open the charts, and XRP just isn't moving the way you'd expect. No explosive pump, no moonshot, just slow, quiet movement, almost like nothing's happening. And you're not alone in wondering, why? Why isn't XRP pumping right now? That's the big question. With all this momentum building behind the scenes, why isn't it reflecting in the price today? Let me walk you through it. Not just the surface level answer, but the full picture. Because what's happening right now with XRP is much bigger than a quick spike or a short-term rally. It's something far more important, and it's something most people completely overlook. Let's start with what the media is already highlighting. We're seeing huge developments surrounding the XRP ledger and Ripple as a company. Real-world asset tokenization is no longer a concept. It's happening. We're talking about physical assets like real estate, gold, and even traditional financial instruments being represented on-chain. These aren't just promises. They're real plans being executed with actual institutional backing. Ripple's partnerships are expanding globally, and they're not partnering with just any company. They're forming strategic alliances with major financial institutions, the kind of players that move global markets. This is about banks, central banks, payment providers, and government-backed entities starting to build on Ripple's tech stack. That's a level of adoption that can't be faked. We're also watching regulatory clarity improve, slowly but surely. In the past, one of the biggest roadblocks to XRP's growth has been uncertainty, questions about its classification, concerns from regulators, lawsuits in the US. That cloud is beginning to lift. Piece by piece, we're getting closer to a regulatory landscape where XRP can operate freely and legally without the burden of confusion. And if that wasn't enough, there's a whole new infrastructure being laid down. RLUSD, Ripple's regulated and licensed stablecoin, is live. EVM-compatible sidechains are opening the door for developers to build within the XRP ecosystem using Ethereum tools. And then there's Hidden Road, a massive development that most people haven't even fully grasped yet. It's enabling institutional access to XRP in ways that were never possible before. This is a gateway for hedge funds, family offices, and sovereign wealth funds to interact with the XRP ledger securely and compliantly. So again, with all this happening, why is XRP's price still stuck? Here's the answer. What you're witnessing right now is the construction phase. Let me put it like this. Right now, you're watching the pipes being laid down, the financial plumbing of the future being assembled piece by piece. But you're not yet seeing the water flowing through those pipes. That part comes later. What Ripple is doing right now is foundational. It's the boring part, the technical groundwork that doesn't show up in candles or headlines. But without it, nothing else works. You can't expect global-scale adoption of any digital asset, let alone one connected to regulated institutions, without certain critical layers being in place. And those layers take time, a lot of time. We're talking about regulatory alignment across multiple jurisdictions, something that involves governments, legal teams, lobbying efforts, and a lot of patience. It's not the kind of thing you can hype your way into. It has to be earned. Then there's banking integration. You want banks to move value using XRP? That's not just about sending a test transaction. That means integrating their core banking systems, updating risk protocols, and passing compliance checks. It's slow, yes, but once done, it's permanent. Liquidity frameworks are another crucial layer. You can't just plug in XRP and expect it to work like magic. There has to be consistent liquidity, market makers, and on-off ramps for fiat. The system has to be able to handle institutional volume without slippage or disruption. That's not glamorous, but it's necessary. Then you have institutional-grade custody. We're not talking about someone holding a hardware wallet at home. We're talking about licensed, insured, third-party custodians that banks and funds can trust with millions or billions of dollars. This isn't retail crypto anymore. This is the infrastructure for real capital to enter. So ask yourself this: do you want a flashy, short-term pump based on empty hype? Or do you want a long-term, sustainable rally built on actual adoption, real-world utility, and a finite supply meeting increasing demand? Because what we're seeing right now is exactly that second path. It's slow, it's quiet, it's behind the scenes. But it's powerful. And here's the kicker: once the rails are complete, once the infrastructure is built, once the systems are connected, and once the institutions flip the switch, then the movement will happen. And it won't be small. It won't be some gentle, step-by-step climb. It will be explosive, because when utility demand meets a hard-capped supply, economics takes over. That's not a guess. That's basic supply and demand. If you have trillions in value wanting to move through a system with a tightly constrained supply asset, the price moves. It has to. That's how markets work. The hardest part about being early in this space is waiting. In crypto, patience is the hardest alpha. Most people don't have it. They want instant gratification. They want to see green candles the moment good news drops. But real progress doesn't work that way. Look at any breakthrough in technology, whether it's the internet, smartphones, or artificial intelligence. The infrastructure always comes first, then adoption, then value. And that's exactly where XRP is right now. You are early. The infrastructure is coming online, slowly, methodically, and with precision. Don't confuse the lack of price action with a lack of progress. That's a mistake most people make. In fact, the smart money isn't sitting on the sidelines complaining about price. They're positioning themselves. They're studying the ecosystem, building on it, allocating capital, forming partnerships, because they understand that by the time the price moves, the opportunity will have already passed. And let's be honest, yes, market manipulation plays a role too. That's the unfortunate reality of crypto. Whales, market makers, and insiders often distort the signals that the market should be giving us. Price is supposed to reflect fundamentals, adoption, and value. But right now, that signal is clouded by speculation, suppression, and games played behind the scenes. That's why transparency matters. That's why we need real price discovery. We need an ecosystem that empowers participants, not just insiders. That's what Ripple is working toward. And it's something that takes time and discipline to build. So the next time someone asks, "Why isn't XRP pumping?" you'll know exactly what to say, because we're not in the hype phase anymore. We're in the infrastructure phase. And when the switch flips, when regulation aligns, banking partners go live, liquidity flows in, and custody solutions are ready. That's when the real price action begins. And it won't just be a pump, it will be a revaluation. This isn't a delay, it's a setup. The foundation is being built under your feet, quietly, while most people aren't paying attention. That's why you're not seeing wild price movements right now. But that's also exactly why you should be paying even closer attention. Because when it finally happens, and it will happen, it won't be subtle. And it won't wait for everyone to catch up. So stay focused, stay sharp, and most importantly, stay patient. Because this isn't the end, it's just the beginning. And when it finally clicks, you'll be glad you understood the difference between plumbing and water. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this breakdown as eye-opening as I did, smash that thumbs up right now. Don't miss out on our exclusive, never-before-seen insights. Subscribe immediately to join our inner circle at AlinaX and stay ahead with every breaking update. I want to hear your thoughts, questions, and theories, so drop a comment below. Every single one will be read and replied to. Act fast, be part of this revolution, and let's redefine the future together.